Thank you for joining us today. So I'm here in studio with a good friend of mine and also a client, and his name is TL Jentgens. And we're excited to have him in studio to talk about his journey of becoming a musician and turning it into a business. Thank you for joining us. It's good to see you today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it so much.
Absolutely.
I'm excited to do this. We had this bond and this connection when we first met, and then it even went even further as my business grew. So when we had this idea to maybe we should sit down and talk about this, I've been excited about it since the very second we came up with the idea. So happy to be here.
Awesome. We want to know, how did you get into music? How did you start doing music?
Well, if we go way back, I mean, I started playing music as a kid growing up and all that stuff. But when I really started looking at it as a business and really like doing it professionally, it was probably when I was, I'd say, 15, 16 years old, where I'm like, I want to do this. This is all I wanted to do. And, working odd jobs throughout the years until I eventually, in my early 20s, was like, I can do this. I can continue just to play music, and looking at being a musician as an actual job. And so once I started doing that in my early 20s, that's all I focused on. But it really expanded from playing in bands, touring with bands, finding acts to play with, until the big transition happened in 2017-18 when I started the show that is TL Jentgens, the show that we met, the one that I've been doing ever since.
Now, many people are good at their trade. Maybe they grow up learning about carpentry. They're good at being able to rehab. They're good at music. But how did you take that from just being something that you were good at to something that you are so successful at, something that you're making money off of, and you're just getting all these shows booked and getting bigger and bigger? How did you turn it from a passion to a profit?
It definitely didn't happen overnight. And definitely the rock star mythos of, a guy walked in, saw me, and said, I'm taking you to the top, does not exist. It's hard work, dedication, and honestly, networking and finding the right people to surround yourself with to help you. And so, playing in bands and going out there and trying to book gigs and doing all of these things to really push the music forward happens. But then once I saw it as a business, and I thought, okay, how can I push this further? And that's when I wanted to grow the show. And that's where you actually kind of came in. And we happened to meet randomly, honestly. Do you remember when we met? It was the 4th of July party. That was the coolest thing ever, because I was playing in a band, and you were throwing a party for Fund&Grow for 4th of July, and there was a band that was set to play to entertain, and something happened, and they couldn't make it or something, and then another band couldn't do it last second because somebody got sick, and then the one person in that group called me and said, hey, can you fill in for this gig at this place? It's at a house, it's this crazy party. And I said, absolutely, I happen to have the day off. I'm like, let's do this. So when I get there, all of a sudden, you and I had never met at that point, and I'm just showing up going, okay, everything you expected from a band is now just me. And, yours and my relationship kickstarted right there, because all of a sudden we sat down and talked, and I had no idea about Fund&Grow or anything about what you did. I just went, this is a gig, I'm just playing this show. And all of a sudden, you and I started talking there in your office right there, in the back, and we're just sitting there talking, and that's what expanded my mind to go, maybe this guy could be the guy to help. Because at that point, it seemed impossible to me. What I wanted to do seemed impossible.
Well, I remember that day well.
It was an awesome day.
We were worried about the entertainment for the show, or for that party, and then I'm so thankful that we met that day.
Me too.
And since then, you've been at how many of our company parties?
I
can't even get.
Yeah. I can't even. Yeah. But they've all been so great that it's kind of hard. They all just we're doing it again this year.
And
great, love it.
If I'm correct, we're one of the only small shows that you do now.
Yes, literally the only show. And I said this to you, and I don't know if you want to be this candid about it, but I do it because of you, because you helped make my dream a reality, and it's my way of saying thank you. Because I don't do small shows like that anymore, but you were such a pivotal, not only backer in terms of me personally, but you saw the show for what it was, and you're like, I want to help with this, and I couldn't thank you enough. So that's why I do that.
Well, thanks.
Okay.
I got to give credit though to the whole Fund&Grow team because they were the ones that
spectacular.
that got you the funding.
100%.
Talk a little bit about the funding and how that helped with what you're doing, or maybe we should even rewind and first talk about what your need was.
I basically built the show. It's funny. I built the show essentially the same way your business works. Is I just went, all right, I'm going to get a bunch of credit cards. It's a very Kevin Smith way of like the way he made movies when he first started. It's just get some credit cards, max them out, follow your dream, and if your business goes to plan, it all works out, you know? And that's how I started the show. Like it was just max everything out I could and build this show. I had a little bit of stuff, but not much. And then whenever the show started gaining popularity, started traveling, started touring, that's when I went, okay, I want to expand. I want to make this bigger. But then at that point, it was like, all right, now it's not getting my hands on 20 grand. It was, we need to be getting my hands on hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And real quick, just to help the viewers understand. So, and what were the things that you were buying? Was like speakers and amplifiers?
Oh, yeah.
And
the main thing was lights, the screens, speakers.
Screens for the back of the show.
Exactly.
Big lighting screens.
Yeah, the giant like LED screens that have video and stuff on them. Yeah, the lights, all those things, the PA system, they add up so quickly. And on top of that, the big one that I didn't even think about as the show expanded was transportation. A giant rig, a whole trailer, a new truck, all these things that I went, oh yeah, we have to move this stuff. We have to get this there, you know? So yeah, so not only the logistics side of it to get the stuff there, but yeah, a lot of it was equipment.
And you were going from doing smaller venues to getting booked at larger venues.
I'd say it started off as small bars, small clubs, till eventually mid-sized clubs to theaters, and now we're in mostly theaters now. I'd say mid-sized theaters, and that was the goal, was to get there, but we wouldn't have got there as fast if we didn't have the financing to do it.
Well, a lot of it, from the way I see your business, is you were creating the frenzy around people wanting to book you. You're getting the crowd excited. You're playing all the hits that people like.
Thanks, man.
You're not doing the entire song, just the part that that everyone knows.
Yeah.
It's a good vibe. So the way I see that is what was getting you booked. And then eventually you were getting booked at shows where you were like, I don't know if my equipment's large enough for this stage.
Exactly.
And I remember you telling me about this.
Yeah, that was like the first time we did this place called Janus Live. And yeah, we did a show there. It was the first show we did, and we sold out the show, which was roughly, let's call it 2,000 people. I don't remember the exact number. But we sold it, the first time I ever played there, we sold it out. I remember looking back and looking at the equipment and videos of it and thinking, it looks good, but it looks small on that stage. I'm so lucky and just blessed to be able to get to do my show on that stage in front of that many people. But the reason why the show has been successful is I want to give the people the show they truly deserve. I want to put it all out there. And so at that point I went, this has to grow. This literally has to grow. And that seemed impossible at that moment. It really didn't, because I started adding up numbers and I went, this is more than a house costs. And I'm thinking, how am I going to get access to this? And I know that sounds like false, like I'm trying to say this as a commercial or something, but it really was daunting to think, how do I do this? Just me. The show is just me. I don't have any financial backers. I don't have any Daddy Warbucks or
so before we get
silent
into
partner.
So before we get into the cost of upgrading the show, I want to just describe for the viewers what TL show is. When you're at TL show, he is the main focus of the show. It's him. It's no other musician, just TL with his drums. He's elevated on a stage, got lighting all around him that lights up everything. He's got a massive screen behind him, which is all part of all the songs that he's playing. And so this stage works perfectly for certain venues, but if you're going to a venue that's now doing thousands of people, now that entire screen needs to be bigger. Those lights need to be bigger. The sheer amount of electricity that it takes. I had to upgrade the electricity in my house.
Yes, we did. Yeah,
to be able to do your rig, and that's the small one.
Yeah, that's the small one.
That's not even the big one.
Yeah, the big one, the big Dristo rack is.
So how much did that big setup cost?
I needed about, let's call it $50,000 to $60,000 for the first version of the show. And that was like, I'll call that the small version of the show. And then when I went, okay, I need to go bigger, I started looking at, I need like 300,000 is really what I needed to look at it. And again, that's all for the lights, it's for everything. But a big part of that was for the truck and trailer as well. The truck and trailer was probably, like, the truck was already going to be over 100 by itself. So at that point, I was like 100 for the truck. So I really need like 200 for the show. Yeah, roughly. And then I started going, okay, well, I guess there are certain things I could like finance through like buying a trailer, buying a car, things like that. But then, well, I can't go get financing for lights. I mean, you can go to like music stores and get credit cards.
It's not typical equipment for financing.
Not at all.
A tractor
No.
or a forklift.
No. And going to a bank or some type of financial institution and going, hi, I'm a musician. You try to use professional words. Well, what kind of musician? Oh, great. Here we go. And it doesn't instill confidence in any financial institution when you go, I'm a musician, or I play drums, and they're like, it's adorable. That's adorable. See you later. You know what I mean? And if they're willing to offer you something, it's like, it's just a drop in the bucket. It's nothing even close to what we need. You know?
The interesting thing is you'd be surprised how often that happens, even in other industries where people go to the bank and they just aren't taken serious.
No,
so
it's
a lot of times that's what the Fund&Grow account managers are doing.
And they were spectacular.
They're presenting it in such a way where they're making it make sense to them.
Like when I went in, and imagine too, I'm a lone guy. What about your business? The business is me. So there's not even like, so if you fail, there's not even somebody else to rely. Like, oh no, there's not. Like they look at it and go, there's no, why would we want to help you?
But you do have employees now.
Yes, I do. See, thanks to all of this, that's the point where the show got so much bigger that I went, I have to hire people to help set this up. But luckily, since the show is bigger, we're in bigger venues, income's coming in, I can hire more people. And now the show, what used to take hours and hours upon hours, I mean, it still takes hours upon hours, but at least now there's luckily people in place to do it, and they're professional and they make it amazing. My team surrounding me is the best in the industry. I'm so thankful for them.
And you get to focus more on being prepared for the show, right?
Exactly.
Setup. And you've also traveled even to other states
and countries. Yeah, actually, I don't even know if I told you this. Like, I leave for Newfoundland, Canada. Newfoundland, Canada. I leave Thursday to go there. We're going to Scotland in August. We just got back from Dallas. We did some shows up north. We've done shows all up and down the East Coast. We really haven't traveled out west much. We had some shows booked out west, scheduled for April of 2020. The world shut down, March of 2020. So unfortunately, all that didn't happen. But hey, the show still continued. I still went. I'm not stopping this. I didn't let anything stop me.
And things are picking back up. So I'm sure the West Coast.
Things are doing great now. Everything's right back in place. Now it's a matter of, oh man, we've had to spend way more time behind the scenes because of building this show. I thought it would literally take 4 or 5 months to build the show behind the scenes by building the new rig, because the whole rig has to be built. Like, it can't be kind of pieced together, because whenever you like go from one program to another, they're kind of they don't interface well. So it's like, we have to just build this whole rig behind the scenes, and people go, we haven't seen anything new. Well, I wish you could see what we've been working on. And then one day, coming up soon, actually, we're going to unveil the real new big show. We've got an even bigger show coming out with all new music, all new lights, all new video, really a full Las Vegas style concert and show, a real true epic performance.
And do you have like a test place that you set the stuff up and practice?
Yeah, we luckily have a connection with this club, and the owner is a fan of the show, and they don't use the club for like 2 or 3 days of the week, because they do on the weekends, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sundays, but like Mondays and Tuesdays, like, we don't open the club. And I go, can we use it? He's like, if I get to watch you, heck yeah. He'll just come and watch and go, this is incredible. And I go, now you see everything that goes into this. Because a lot of people don't realize the entire show, everything you see and hear is 100% what I've done. It's completely me by myself. All the music I created. Yeah, it might be me doing like a cover version or a different version of a song that exists, but like all the parts, the guitars, the bass, the keys, I did all that by myself. I recorded all that. All of the editing for the videos and syncing it up to the music, I do that by myself. All of the choreography for the lights and how they move with it, I do all of that by myself, and then I sync it and choreograph it to the computer so that this way when I'm performing, you see me like I reach over, I'm literally mixing and changing things in real time so that the entire show is being controlled by me on the stage at any given moment.
Wild. So how many different hats would you say that you're wearing and when you're setting all that up, when you're organizing all that and creating the plan?
Eventually I stopped putting titles on it because I'm like, I guess I'm manager, agent, producer. Eventually I just went, I'm just going to keep doing this. It would take more time to put titles on those things and figure out how what.
Entrepreneur.
There you go. I like that. I like that.
I like how on your performance, it doesn't matter if it's a rap song or if it's a guy or a girl singing. What you're able to perform it all, and it's just it's amazing. I don't know how I'm able to hear songs that sound so similar to the originals for the anthem part of whatever that part is.
Yeah,
I think it's a skill, and it's really amazing. And obviously, the people of Florida and even Newfoundland, they all liked it.
Yeah, so, and that's going to be a cool show. I can't wait to get up there, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I appreciate that, though. You know, the whole warping of the voices thing is kind of a skill I acquired as a young kid. I could always kind of like mimic voices pretty easily. And so like, yeah, like I remember there was a guy at a recent show, he goes, you did Eminem and Cyndi Lauper within 3 minutes of each other. And he goes, and they sounded like Eminem and Cyndi Lauper. I was like, yeah, thanks. I'm glad you felt that way. I'm glad you felt that it sounded like that because I tried really hard because I think it's cool.
One of the things that is meaningful to me is after a party when my guests come up to me and they're talking to me about how, thank you, Ari, this, that, and the other, and telling me about how great all the different things were. Each time that you've played, I have received so much feedback telling me,
really,
have this guy back again, have him back again, have him back again.
Yeah,
I think that's a bigger testament to you and to your creativity.
Thanks.
And getting booked at those bigger venues was what you needed to do before actually getting, like you played Janice when, and this is a good thing for our viewers. So technically TL wasn't ready to play Janice, but he played it anyway.
100%.
You look back, you're like, the rig was too small. Everything on stage, it looked a little too small.
Yep.
But I booked it. And now I have that on my resume, on my portfolio. Yep. And now you're booking gigs like that more regularly. Now you have rigs that, that's a law of attraction thing. You have to
100%.
Just put yourself in it. Just do it.
Yeah, it wasn't ready. But if I would have held back and been scared or thought, it's not perfect, it's not ready, that opportunity would have passed me by. Even like doing your party that day, it was a very last minute thing. Remember, we were literally removing doors on your back because we couldn't fit things through, but we're like, here we go, this is it, we got to do this. If we let closed doors stop us, we'll never go somewhere new.
How about you remember at the first party when you arrived? I think the roof was too low for the rig.
Yes, it was.
And my guy had to just jerry rig it right.
We were putting zip ties to hold it to the wall because it was like it's hitting the ceiling. It was crazy. But then you came through the next time we did the show. You guys built an entire levitating stage above the pool, which is still the rig we still use to this day. And then then put in electricity and thank you.
So we met at that first party, and then you played a couple parties,
Yep.
and then I remember we talked about funding one time.
Yep.
And then you got started.
Yeah, the first party we did, I didn't really know you. You were just kind of telling me about what you do and stuff like that. But then it was the second party that I came back that I thought maybe this guy can help me, and that's when we had that meeting in that your little office area, and I went, what exactly do you do? I didn't even know about Fund&Grow at all. I didn't even know what it was. And you went, I help. I remember you went, I help small businesses like you. You said that you went like you, help get started and help find financing. And I remember, I don't know if you could tell that I lit up because I was thinking to myself, me help me. Can you do this for me? And I didn't know how to say it.
Now, why didn't you go to, like, if you go on Google, there's just like so many funding services.
I didn't even realize what you do and what Fund&Grow does and what you do as a business. Didn't even know it existed, let alone knew it was possible for me to come involved with it. No clue. I didn't realize. I thought, okay, I need to get $300,000. I have to go to a bank. I had a friend who was like, you have to put together a business plan, and then you have to give a presentation, and then you have to find a person who's like one person or one institution that's willing, and then you owe them your life, and if it fails, you're done.
Yep, that's the old model.
Yeah, and I thought that was it. I remember I was like, all right, I have to download Quicken Books, and I have to download this presentation maker, and I'm like, I don't know how to make a presentation. I mean, I know how to make a show, but I don't know how to make a financial business plan presentation. I'm like, but if all I need is some money to help buy a light, and that light will get paid for from the show that it lights up. And so whenever you said I can, basically, we supply businesses with credit cards, and I went, that sounds so easy. You made it sound so easy, and you pulled it right up on your screen, and I went, this is like, I remember you said, we could do this right now. And I went, like right now? Then go. Yes. What do I have to do? I'm thinking, do I need like a birth certificate and all this stuff? Like, no, just a couple little forms of identification, and we do a credit check. And then that's when I realized your team was so important in this. I had no idea. As you're like, no, you're like, you said to me, you're like, TL, you're going to have a team of people behind you that are going to be working for you that know how to get these credit card companies to give you more. You like showed me, you're like, look at this guy. He got declined twice, and then on the third round, all of a sudden, boom, it happened. And now all of a sudden it's growing from that point. And then you started showing people that were maybe in lesser states and people that were in good states. And luckily I was in a pretty good position. And I think we ran my credit right there at that moment. And even when you said to me, you were in great shape, I went, cool. Don't know what to do with it. Do I make the business plan thing now? No, you went, this is it. We just get financing for you. And then I started thinking like, okay, credit cards, like that's what I wanted. Like that seems so simple. Everybody knows how to use a credit card. Children know how to use credit cards. Now, you have to be responsible with it, but that's where your team came in and helped me. And they're like, no, we're going to get you 0% for this long. And then they had like a plan for even when that runs out, we know how to like move things and do this. And they were there every step of the way, answering every email, every phone call, even moments when I thought, not that I had doubts, but I just went, it seems too good to be true. I'm living proof that it's true. I did it. We got that first round of financing. I think our first round we did was like just under $100,000, I think.
Was that on 4 different business cards?
It was on, I think, like more. I think it was on like 6.
6?
I think it was like 6. I think we applied for like 7 and only didn't get approved by 1. And it wasn't even that big of a deal because I was like, wow, I'm like, I remember when I was getting the emails from every day saying, oh, you got approved for this, get approved for this. I'm going, oh my God. And I remember calling up my rep and going, can I like start buying stuff now? They're like, yeah, go. This is your moment. Go. And I went, it was the weight of not the world, but the weight of all the pressure of succeeding and being an entrepreneur, as you said, at that moment just seemed lighter. It seemed like I can do this because it was impossible at that moment. And so all of a sudden that $100,000, all of a sudden it paid itself off pretty quick. And they're like, let's do another round. Even then I'm going, yes, okay, cool. And that's what helped build the big version of the show. So that's where that went.
Now, do you think that the business cards being at 0% was a big difference, like, or because you didn't really ever consider other funding services, and so that's one of the the benefits of Fund&Grow is that we're using the 0% offers that could be anywhere from 9 months to, we have some, I think, as long as 22 months.
Yeah, I think the first ones I got were 14 or 12 or 14. It was just over a year or something like that. And you know what?
Able to pay them off within that time?
No, but I wasn't worried about that. I really, truly wasn't, because they kept telling me, they're like, even if you don't, we can find ways to like transfer and move things and do that.
The new cards.
Yeah, because when I first started doing it, remember like a year ago or 2 years when all the slowdowns happened where they couldn't get like materials for, and then everything was sold out? That was the exact moment I went to go buy everything. You could not find a circuit board or an amplifier in the world. We couldn't find anything. And so all of a sudden, I went, wow, I finally have financing, finally, and the world is sold out. Everything from lights, because everything was based on these, these graphite and these circuit boards that nobody could get. Nobody could get anything to build anything. To this day, it's still kind of tough with amplifiers. But I went, okay, all right, so let's order some of these things. Well, unfortunately, and you probably know this, and a lot of probably other, business owners out there know that things usually end up taking longer than expected. And so all of a sudden I went, I'll have this done in 4 months. 6 months goes by, 8 months goes by, and I'm like, all right, finally, the stuff started rolling in at like 9, 10 months, and I'm going, oh no. I'm going, okay, the financing is about to be out of this 0% thing. But again, like clockwork, I literally started getting emails going, hey, the 0% is getting closer. Let's talk about round 2. And I went, what do you mean? And they're like, not only can we get you more financing, but we can find ways to lower the interest rates or move them over to other places that they're 0% over here, and freeing up, I don't know. They're like magicians to me.
Yeah, there's so many different ways of doing it.
I know, they're just, and I went, all right, let's, again, just like when I was sitting there with you, I went, cool, go, I guess. What do I have to do to help? And then next thing you know, I didn't do anything to help. They just went, done, continue. Again, freeing, just such an amazing feeling to think I have somebody on my side that wants to help. I have to do some of the work. I have to be willing to, I can't just spend a bunch of money and then not make it back.
Right.
But I can't make the money without spending it. I can't build the show without this. So that was huge. So having it at 0% was nice, but if I could relay that message to another entrepreneur out there, don't be afraid of that. Because the same way I need to get this gear, I couldn't predict the world was going to stop making chips. I couldn't predict that, but I had to continue. And guess what? There's always a solution somewhere else. And Fund&Grow helped find every solution that could be possibly there.
So what is your plan for the future? Do you see yourself doing more international shows, doing bigger venues?
It just got to the point where every show, it just went, all right, we need to find a bigger venue. We need to find something else. And constantly not only finding bigger venues and playing more shows. Well, actually, it's not about playing more shows. It's about really just putting on the best show. I really want to put on the best possible performance. So getting out in front of more people helps getting into bigger venues so that more people can see it. And that's why I had to build the bigger rig, because I can't be on the same stage as legends and not be legendary.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think that your rig and your setup and your show is very legendary.
I appreciate that so much. I can't even wait for like you to personally see the new big one, the real big one, because I look at it and I look at artists that are like, the heavy hitters, the legends of the world. I look at their rigs and I just think, I remember watching shows at like arenas and in amphitheaters thinking, man, if I could ever have a screen that big or a cool setup like that, that would just be awesome. Done.
Yeah.
We're there. We're literally there. I thought it was impossible. And it, honestly, without you, it was. It really was, honestly. And even just our meeting was so serendipitous. We weren't really supposed to meet. A band canceled and I just happened to be there. And then all of a sudden this relationship and this whole thing flourished. And I'm just so thankful. So I know I keep saying that, but I really, really am.
So if you had to give advice to a young musician or even a young entrepreneur, what would that advice be?
The things that just seem so impossible and daunting and tough, don't let them stop you. Because as long as you just continue, doesn't matter whether it's good or bad, it's just keep moving forward, keep making progress, even if it seems so small. Even if it seems like I didn't do anything, barely. Well, you didn't quit. And as long as you don't quit, something's going to come of it. And
Well, in
that's
other
for-
words, as an entrepreneur, you have a lot more failing than success. But when you have
Tons.
success, then suddenly the success of an entrepreneur leaves a like a 9-to-5 guy just in the dust.
Yep.
And so that little bit of success just feels so amazing, but yet how many times did you fail for that success? And as an entrepreneur, you just had to keep doing it over and over and over and over. You had to have a sustained belief. And that's very, very much a law of attraction principle. I remember the last party that you played at, when you came into the bar and we were talking before the party, you were just so filled with positivity, just like, Ari, I got this good thing going on, and then now I'm doing this, and this is growing, and this is just absolutely amazing, and I had this one bad thing with this one employee, but that then somehow turned into the best thing ever with this new employee, which now this is being taken care of in a way it never was before.
Totally true.
And it was, and that is such a needed ingredient for success. The belief in yourself, the belief that you're going to continue to push towards this thing that you desire. And it doesn't matter if you fail. It doesn't matter what reality is telling you. What matters is your desire.
Absolutely.
And what it is, the way that you would wish it to be. Mm-hmm. And so you kept on doing it and doing it, and here you are. And I would say that Fund&Grow is an example of the same thing, just in a different industry.
You did it yourself. My story is capable because of your story. Your story is the same as mine. You're a self-made man who went, this seems impossible, but you did it. All of this is possible because you didn't give up. You didn't stop. It's the same way. And look, you have passed along your not only knowledge, expertise, but just your ability to go, I believe in this and don't give up, continue. And that's why this is possible. And it's amazing. It's truly remarkable. It really is, man. I'm proud to be a part of it. I just really am. That's why I wanted to be here today. I wanted to talk about it because I think there's so many people out there that are like me that think it ain't going to work for me. It ain't going to work for me because I don't have this. I don't have the this. I don't have the this. You could. It's way closer than you think it is. And then you showed it to me in 30 seconds on the screen.
Well, again, that secret ingredient is not funding as much as it is attitude. And of course, funding is one of those things, but without a positive mindset and a productive attitude towards what it is that you desire, growing your business, your musical business, or whatever an entrepreneur's business is, without that undying, sustained belief in what it is that you want to create, then you can give them all the funding in the world, and it's not going to work.
It seems so daunting. It seems impossible. It seems like any person in my position who would go, I have a great idea, I have everything, but how do I just start or even get my hands on the possible capital to start this? And it can almost push you away.
Right.
Whereas like moments, I mean, honestly, when you met me, you just made it clear. You made it so simple. You literally pulled it up right on your screen, right in front of me at your house. And you went, it's right here. We could do this now. And it all of a sudden went from this impossible dream to just reality because of you in like a matter of seconds, like literally seconds. I remember when you told me about that, I'm like, because every question I thought about, how could this be bad? Or, I thought I was trying to think of every negative I could. You had an answer for every single one. And you have followed through. Your business, you personally, everything has always done exactly what you said you would do for me. And I would like to think that if I can do it, anybody else can. It's just so much easier than it really can be.
We love funding, and we love being a part of the journey of so many small businesses. So many small businesses that are already successful at what they do, and they just need, just like we need them, they need us.
Yep.
Like so often we feel like we're the ones that are applying for a job with the client.
Yeah.
It's not the other way around.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, hey, this funding is so available that if you just choose us, we will provide it for you.
Yeah, I never felt like I was ever being talked down to. I never felt like there was a moment where anybody on your team was ever like, "We're helping you." No, it always felt the exact opposite. It was always like, "What can we do to help you?" Because we need. It's a duplicitous relationship. You need me as much as we need you. Which, when you first explained to me, it felt. Remember when I was giving that story about like the bank, the banker was like gonna give me his money? That makes me feel scared. You know, it makes me feel, how am I ever going to live up to this expectation, let alone the responsibilities of it? I never felt that way with Fund&Grow. I felt they were always on my side every step of the way, and it never felt like I was being talked down to, or I ever felt like that's all you could do. You know, sometimes I would even go, like when I got declined by that one company, I felt embarrassed. You're like, no, watch, we're going to continue. We're going to continue asking them.
Yeah.
And eventually they got it.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. I didn't realize that. Didn't feel ashamed. Didn't feel disrespected. Just every step of the way, just class.
And it's hard to anticipate the banks. The banks have so many different, like we noticed that, you know, before COVID, during COVID, directly after COVID, now, like all of the different algorithms, the way that their lending models work, they're constantly tweaking, constantly changing them. And during the COVID was obviously the hardest time to get funding, because why would a bank lend out when everything's shut down? Mm-hmm. But now it's a completely different ball game.
Absolutely.
The only difference is that the economy isn't quite where it was before.
Yeah.
So in the amount of stimulus, there was a lot of free money that was out there, still out there, hurting, creating the inflation, creating the supply chain issues that we were talking about earlier.
Yep.
So it does. For a lot of small businesses, it can feel so daunting. But the interesting thing is, they would never be in their industry in the first place if they hadn't already had this sustained belief in themselves and what they're doing. Maybe it could be intergenerational, it could be a family business. Either way, they had to believe in something for a long period of time in order for that to come to fruition in reality and to manifest as a functioning business. And so that right there is the key. And there's so many businesses out there right now that, with the way that the economy is, that really they need funding not to grow, they need funding to survive.
Yeah.
And so it becomes a different burden of responsibility for us, where we're not just helping people grow and thrive. In today's economy, with everything that's happened now, with the way the inflation is now, in some cases, this is helping people just survive.
Yeah.
And I remember the crash of, which for us started in 2006, 2007, and then for the major market, it was 2008.
Yep.
And because for us, we were feeling it from the supply of money all the way then to the consumer side, where it was really the same exact thing. The need for money was so large, but the ability to get it was just really, really tough and difficult. And so a lot of businesses weren't growing. But of course, there were some businesses that were growing by leaps and bounds. They were buying up everything.
Yep.
And that's what we want. We want to help the small businesses that we work with to be able to, in the down market, not only be able to just make it, but use that same sense of belief, that same burning desire that created them as a small business in the first place. And I see you as an example of that, because right now the economy is not that great, but yet you are growing. You are getting into bigger venues. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of people have less cash now than ever before to spend on those types of things. There's more excuses than ever before, and yet you are growing better now than ever before.
Absolutely. And to piggyback on what you said, there is no smaller business than where I started. There is no smaller business. One person with an idea. Can you name something smaller? No, there's not. It doesn't exist. But I went from a person with an idea, playing in the smallest bar you could imagine, to the fewest number of people you can imagine, to playing in sold-out theaters. Like, it doesn't get any better than that. When you say helping a small business, shoot, some people have, I at least have a partner. I have a second. I had nobody. I had zero people. And so that's why I want my example to be a beacon of light to the people who think I can't do it. So,
well, thank you, and thank you so much for coming in studio today.
I appreciate it, man.
Story.
I appreciate it so much, man. Thank you for having me.